See you later. Sorry, our house became the hangout house for a hot minute. So, hi everybody. I'm going to give everybody just a couple minutes to kind of filter in here before we get started. Whew, it's good to be home. I'm glad to be back though, and kind of resettling and getting back out to the parks. And not so wavy. We'll talk about that in a second. Oh, here comes that. Oh no. I don't know if my chat's working or not. So I may have to rely on my phone here just to see everything. Oh, hi, Sandy. Told you, I think everything on my end is kind of sticking, so I'll have to rely on my phone here for a hot minute. Okay. Well, looks like everything should be working pretty well now at this point. Hi, Doris. How are you? I'm so glad to see you all here. Thanks for joining me. I don't think this will take terribly long because I just wanted to kind of touch base, see what everybody's questions were about the cruise and what all we did, all the upcoming stuff with Disney Cruise Line, because there's a lot going on those ships, a lot more than what we even really were able to get into. So, in fact, we just got an email this morning on a lot of stuff. Okay, I think I'm going to give us maybe another minute or so, and then we're going to get started. So first up, really and truly, we're going to get back out into the parks this week for some more live streams and being able to get out and interact with you guys in real time and not just the recorded stuff. Hi, Amy. If we don't have Barbara today, that's because today is her birthday, and I want her to enjoy her birthday as much as possible. So she may pop in, she may not. Totally her call. But happy birthday, Barbara, if you happen to watch this. Okay, cool. So I think we're just going to go ahead and get started. So I think you saw the remaining videos or so of what we had for our time on the Disney Dream. We were blessed enough to be able to do the 4-night cruise on the Disney Dream out of Port Canaveral. It was one of its last itineraries leaving from Port Canaveral. And the reason for that is the Dream's not going away for forever. They're just relocating the Dream down from Port Canaveral, which is the one closest to Orlando, down to Miami. So going forward, after our cruise, there was a 3-day cruise that left from Port Canaveral on the Dream and then back. But that's it. No more Port Canaveral docking for the Disney Dream at this point. In fact, I think it's already on its way to Miami if it hasn't made it there already. So going forward, if you're booking a cruise on the Disney Dream, you're going to be sailing out of the Miami port. It's a massive port. It's beautiful. It's great. It just doesn't have the big old Disney Mickey ears that you walk through. Hi, Debbie. It's good to see you too. So if that's what you're looking for, bear that in mind when you're going through all the different ships and the different itineraries that they follow, because Port Canaveral will be the only one that has that Mickey head turtle there. Sorry, we've got a lot of things going on here. So that being said, the Disney Dream is moving out to make way for the Disney Wish. Hi, Barbara. I didn't know if you would be popping in or not. We've already said happy birthday, but happy birthday. I told everybody you'd pop in if you could. So the Disney Wish is now on its way from Germany and took possession, or Disney Cruise Line was able to take possession of that about midday today. So now at this point, I believe they're going to, don't quote me on this, I want to say, was it Denmark, something like that? And then that's where they're going to be stationed for a little while. In fact, our head server, Cello, on our cruise was telling us he was hand selected to go on the Wish. So he was getting ready to go home for just a couple weeks and then be able to get flown out to where the Wish is, set everything up, start training everybody there, and then be able to sail into port at Port Canaveral. Hi, Jason. Uh, you're very welcome, Barbara. You earned it, friend. Birthdays should be celebrated to the fullest. So the Disney Wish is now on its way down to America at some point. So they'll be doing their maiden voyages here really, really soon. But I'm going to let you all kind of have the floor. I know I've gotten a few preliminary questions, so I'm going to go ahead and start addressing those. If you had any more specific questions, feel free to leave them in the chat over here for me, and I'll just pick them up as I see them filter in. So one of the questions that I got was, what was the kids' most favorite parts about the cruise? And I'm pretty sure Nat would probably say making slime or her Bippity Boppity Boutique makeover, which we did want to showcase to you all because we are very, very anxiously anticipating that reopening here at Walt Disney World for all of us. And right now, currently, the boutique is only open as an experience on Disney Cruise Line, which is odd considering all their masking policies and everything. However, I digress. So I'm really excited for whenever that happens to open up, along with the Harmony Barbershop, which I believe starts taking reservations sometime this month. So I'm really excited to see that up and coming. A lot of people asked about the cruise that we have in September booked for the Disney Dream. And after a lot of consideration about why we moved this cruise up to a little bit sooner from September and just being readjusted and the time it would take to get the kids out of school and everything, I think we're going to wait on the September sailing for now, as much as I hate that, only because they announced the trio of the Sanderson sisters there as meet and greets, and they were doing some phenomenal things there for Howling on the High Seas. And we had a great rate, don't get me wrong, but we were really, really, really saving a lot of money by being able to do this cruise instead. And it was the same 4-night, same itinerary. The only thing that was really missing was a lot of the Halloween fun element things. Considering that the characters are able to take pictures and not do character hugs or sign autographs right now, who knows, that might change by September, but we just felt like our time was best spent saving the money right now and then maybe putting that towards our next adventure. So we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. How many days does the Wish or the Dream run on length of days? I believe those will have different varying lengths, Barbara. I think it'll be similar to the Dreams itineraries. I've seen 3 and 4 days, and I think they can go as 5 and 7. So yeah, it's definitely going to be some different kinds of itineraries. How many islands does a 7, 10, or 12-day cruise go to? Oh, good question. So you let me unpack that question for you. How many islands does Disney Cruise Line go to? Well, they dock in Nassau and they dock in Castaway Cay. I know it's spelled C-A-Y. And if you're a novice, you're obviously going to say Castaway Cay. However, it's Castaway Cay is how it's pronounced. Those longer cruises, the 7, 9, 10, 11, and 12-day cruises typically go transatlantic or to Hawaii or to Mexico or even up to British Columbia, Canada, into Alaska. I think the Wonder is actually in Alaska as we speak right now. So those longer cruises, I would highly recommend that you look into those and know that those typically aren't going to be island-esque cruising, if that makes sense. I think Copenhagen, Denmark is one. I think they've got some Mexican itineraries, like where they dock in Mexico, Cozumel. I think the 7-day on the Fantasy goes through, and they do like a day at Castaway Cay. Then they might stop in like Cozumel and maybe an extra day at Castaway Cay. They do a couple days at sea just to kind of fill in the blanks there a little bit. But you can see islands, but they don't necessarily make those stops there. So yeah, longer cruises, think more longer destinations. Shorter cruises definitely hit some of the smaller islands there. Let's see, what was another question that we got pretty frequently? Why did we have 2 staterooms? So good question, because we actually had only 1 stateroom on the September sailing, and that stateroom holds up to a total of 5, including infants. So it's a little different than Disney World rooms, because you're able to include infants on that and they don't count, right, under 2. But on Disney Cruise Line, unfortunately, everybody counts on that manifest. They need everybody accounted for. So our original room held 5. We were in a family deluxe ocean view stateroom, which means it's a little wider. We have a regular queen size bed, as you saw in the videos. Then instead of the couch only folding into the single trundle, then we have a double, so that way it fits 2 people. And then we have the bunk up top, so that's how it's able to fit 5. We were given the opportunity for this sailing at a very discounted rate from the original sailing that we had booked for September, which would have only been 1 room. But the catch to this was that we had to take both rooms for the deluxe ocean view stateroom with veranda, not necessarily the family stateroom that holds 5. So these staterooms that we were in each held 4. Oh, thank you, Jonathan. He kind of looked it up for me. So for 2022 itineraries, just for kicks and grins, this is what this kind of looks like. It's a 5-night Mediterranean cruise from Barcelona. So day 1 is Barcelona, Spain. Then they go to Cannes, France. Then they stop in Rome and Italy. Then they go to Florence and Pisa, Italy. Then they've got a day at sea, and then they embark back again in Spain. Same thing for like a 6-night Mediterranean cruise. So they all have different kinds of porting elsewhere outside of the mainland United States. Let's see. So like a 12-night Mediterranean cruise. Leaves from Italy in Rome. Day 2 is in Sicily. Day 3, you're at sea. Then day 4, you're in Santorini, Greece. Ooh, that's a good one. Then day 5, you're in Athens. Then day 6, you're in Mykonos. Day 7, you're at sea. Then you go to Naples and Pompeii, Italy. Then day 9, you're at sea again. Then you're back in Florence and Pisa, like the previous itinerary I spoke about on day 10. Day 11 is Monte Carlo and Nice, France. Day 12 is it Marseille, France? And then day 13, you're back in Barcelona. So those things are going to require you to go out to some of those other porting locations there. Let's see here. Okay, good question. Sandy asks, how was dining decided? Did you choose your own dining, or was that assigned? I'm so glad that you're asking, because Disney Cruise Line, and I think I said this in the videos, has a really innovative style to their dining. So what they've come up with, their solution to all this, is so that way you get a kind of well-rounded option to try all the places on the ship. They've called it rotational dining. So with rotational dining, they've got multiple dining rooms. In our case, we had 3 plus the buffet. You're never going to go hungry on these ships, you guys. So we had 3 rooms, 3 dining areas, plus the buffet. The first one we ate at was Royal Palace. It was very princess themed, but it was a subtle princess theming, so it wasn't very over the top. You knew the princesses were there. You knew it was supposed to be very regal and royal-esque, and it just made you feel good. I felt like it was a very good place to open us up for the entire experience, and I'm very glad that it was our first one. Then the second night, we went to Animator's Palette, which was the very larger than life Disney whimsical inspired artwork that kind of comes to life. So when you walk in, it's very black and white, it's sketch kind of drawings. And then as you've sat down and your dinner starts, they start up the experience. So all the color just kind of floods into everything. And then everything starts coming to life on the walls. And then the artwork starts changing. And then I'm sure you saw Crush talking to us and taking that big old ride around the aqueduct. But that's the premise of Artist Palette. It has different variations on each of the ships and different kinds of themings for the nights. But in our case, I think they did a phenomenal job in keeping with that. Now, our rotation, we also had Pirates Night at Castaway Cay. They do Pirates Night that night. So we were able to stay in rotation at Animator's Palette. So not only did we get a phenomenal experience that first night with like a Finding Nemo under the sea type kind of theming, the second night we really kind of hit the jackpot with the Pirates of the Caribbean type theming as well there. And then our third night kind of rounded us out for the very last rotation at Enchanted Garden. And it was more of like a flower garden, hedge maze, you know, very romance-like, but also, yeah, kind of like the Crystal Palace.
That's what it felt like.
Crystal Palace at sea, yes. But just a plated meal and not a buffet. And that one was really, really nice.
Well, it was technically a buffet. You could eat as much.
Oh, Jonathan loves Crystal Palace, and it was one of our favorite places. My only thing was I was afraid we were only going to be able to dine at them once. And then I was excited when I got to see Animator's Palette on there twice. I was like, okay, then we'll, because we were on a 4-night cruise, there's only 3 locations, so we had to go somewhere an extra time. Cabanas is the buffet that you saw. They have crab legs on the menu, unlimited every night, y'all. Every night. And it's included. I digress. But if you don't want to opt in for the rotational dining, you've missed it, it's just not your favorite, it's not your jam, go upstairs to Deck 11. Cabanas is where it's at. You're going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner buffets. If you're hungry in between, you have 24-hour room service. Complimentary. You want Mickey ice cream bars at 3 o'clock in the morning? They are going to make it happen for you. I promise you that. It is customary to kind of tip your stateroom host a little bit more if they are bringing you room service, but totally complimentary food. If you just want to have a nice meal on your veranda, on the balcony there, or take it to go. If that's not your calling, or Cabanas is closed, switching out from breakfast to lunch or lunch to dinner or something like that, then you do have the various like quick service window options. So they're very reminiscent of just kind of like a hole in the wall type thing. So they just raise up like the snack area, if you will, but they had stuff like pizzas, burgers, hot dogs, sandwiches, wraps, salads, chicken tenders, even Philly cheesesteak subs. So they switched up the menu all the time. But again, complimentary. You just tell them what you want. They put it on a plate and you send it to you, and you eat it right there by the pool deck if you want. Same thing with the ice cream. It was just on the opposite side. That was complimentary, but if you were to purchase something at Frozones, something like milkshakes, smoothies, different kinds of like frozen type things, then those would have a little bit of an upcharge, but they honestly weren't unreasonably priced. Getting back to your original question though, Sandy, did we pick the dining? We did not. We came in late. Obviously, we didn't book this until like early May. We sailed in May, later May. So I kind of feel like we lucked out on the way the rotation just happened to be falling for us. Hi, Anna Marie. How are you? But I don't think I would have changed it for anything. Now, if you are a seasoned sailor, a seasoned cruiser, and you're like, no, I need Royal Palace twice, or I need Enchanted Garden twice, that's okay. You can go and you can call and change it. If they can't change it ahead of time, the very first thing you want to do once you get on the ship is visit guest services. So as you saw us come through the gangway, you just turn right and there's a whole guest services desk. I think it was maybe in the debarkation video. I think I kept saying disembarkation, which I think is the same thing. It's just Myranda language for debarkation. Sorry. But I don't think I would have changed our rotation of our dining. I think maybe they just kind of threw us a bone because it was our first Disney cruise and gave us the better pick of the straw there. The only thing I will say is we had second dining. So you have a main dining at 5:15 and then a second dining at 8 o'clock. So that just refers to your seating time so they can get everybody on the ship within rotation. And I don't know that I would have chosen the main dining, the first dining, just because 5 o'clock to me is really early. I know 8 o'clock's kind of late, but we didn't have a lack of food. So we were kept rather full until dinner time. And I felt like it gave us a really good opportunity to go and visit with the characters and do a lot of other things. We got the first shows that were on board. We were able to go and do a lot of other different types of classes and things like that. Whereas I felt like with the first dining, you see a lot of families in there, a lot of kids in there, and they want to get them in, get them fed. And then you start seeing those kids and those families filling up those meet and greet slots at like 8 o'clock, 8:30, just before bedtime and such. So I felt like we kind of lucked out there. I don't know that we would opt in for main dining again when we do it over again. So we'll probably stick with second dining, but that is an option too. If it's available, you can choose between first dining or second dining there. Let's see. Yeah, there was a wonderful variety of food. There really, really was. Doris was asking, any dizziness or seasickness during your cruise? So we ordered Dramamine ahead of time from Amazon. We had some for the kids. On the cruise line, we didn't opt to pick up any for adults just because they're on deck 1, the very lowest deck. They do have a health food or a first aid station, a nurse's station, if you will. So if you wanted any kind of Dramamine or sea patches, go right behind your ear or anything that you can take by mouth, they had those outside. I think it was just the tablets though, in a little drop box for adults. So you can just go and grab some if you wanted. So we knew it was there. We have always been told when you are midship, you don't feel the boat rock as much when you're going over the seas. You're going to feel it the first night. I'm not going to downplay it. It's going to feel different. And you'll be like, whoa, what is this? But we were forward, which meant we were towards the front of the ship. And then there's midship. And then there's the aft, which is at the back. I've always been told midship is where it's at. If you have problems with motion sickness or you're worried about that, that's where you want to stay. Personally speaking, with us being forward towards the front of the ship, we felt it move, but I don't feel like we had a bad time with seasickness. So short answer to that is no. I think Kendall might have broken it out once maybe. And I think it was just, she might have like waited too long to eat. But no, nothing while we were on the ship. I will say though, if that affects you or you're worried about it affecting you, go ahead and take it throughout your cruise. I kind of wish I had taken some as I was preparing to get off, because the first 2 days, maybe even creeping up into 3 days, I really felt myself like I was on a roller coaster. Like my insides, I don't know, my soul felt like I was on a roller coaster. Does that make any sense? I know you probably haven't ridden Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, but if you've ridden Expedition Everest, and you know how in the mountain part, you're going backwards and you can just feel yourself being pulled up and backwards. That's how it felt being on land after being at sea for a couple days. So going to the ship and being on the ship, no seasickness. Coming off the ship, I felt a little different. So if I had it to do over again, I would probably just start taking the Dramamine maybe closer to that day before we leave, so that, and maybe a couple days afterwards, just because I'm getting readjusted. Yeah, the food that we had was amazing. Did they serve any seafood, Barbara? There are unlimited crab legs on the menu every night. Unlimited. And even though it's a buffet, they would tend to change the menu offerings depending upon where we were at. So similar to how you saw in Animator's Palette, like Pirates in the Caribbean night at Animator's Palette, we had a different menu from the night before when we were just kind of there at Nassau. We had a different menu for breakfast, a different menu for dinner there at Cabanas, and they wouldn't change everything on the menu, but there would be a couple of things that changed. Like one morning for breakfast, we had biscuits and gravy, which I totally appreciated because I'm a Southern girl and I like the gravy. And the next day I went to go back for gravy and there was no gravy. And I felt really sad. But I had been told, had I asked for it, they probably would have given it to me. So I just didn't know to ask for it. But your regular things like bacon, sausage links, Mickey waffles, regular pancakes, and little miniature chocolate chip pancakes, cereal, fresh fruit, crab legs, shrimp, peel and eat shrimp, unlimited, totally on the menu, yogurts, like it was like a little smoothie thing, and like it looked like a wine glass almost, but it was just kind of a yogurt. And Kendall thought it was a smoothie. I think you could have like taken a spoon and spooned it out and ate it, but I think it was called like a mango sunrise or something like that. It was delicious. I highly recommend you try it. So they would have things that were kind of a constant staple, but depending upon your location and where you were at in your itinerary, they would change a couple things up. Let's see. Are you still going on the Howling Cruise? Was this one just extra due to the deal you got? So we originally did have the Howling Cruise still for September, but after getting off the ship, getting readjusted, and everything that we spent on this cruise, we were like, well, we really want to try out the Dream. So for right now, our plans for September are canceled. So we're just going to leave the Dream as it is for right now, which I really hate, because I was really looking forward to, and the kids were too, really looking forward to all the Halloween happenings on board, especially with all the new costuming and the meet and greets. But as of right now, Disney Cruise Line still does not allow for character hugs or autographs or anything. So that's why you didn't see us take the autograph book with us that I'm still finishing this week for you all to give away. But that's why it didn't come on board the ship with us, because we knew we wouldn't be able to do any kinds of character meet and greets in that kind of retrospect. So I'm hoping things change. If things change, maybe we'll rebook it. But as of right now, we've put those plans on hold and we're rebooking for the Wish. Hi, Audrey. How are you? Let's see. The kids had a super phenomenal time. So we gave certain kids, the older kids, privileges to be able to sign themselves in and out of the Oceaneer Club. You can do that with obviously parent discretion. The way that works is you sign your kids in, and there's a waiver form that they ask you to sign. You communicate through the Disney Cruise Line app, which I would love to show you, but they disable that once you get off of the ship and away from the Disney Cruise Line Wi-Fi. So what that does, instead of what they used to have was called wave phones. They looked like old home telephones, just really slim. And they would call you if there was ever an issue, like your kid just wanted to come out of the Oceaneer Club, or they were getting ready to be signing themselves out or whatnot. So now they just send you a message through that Disney Cruise Line Navigator app, which is really convenient. The only downfall to it, and this is pro tip, is you'll need to have the app pulled up in the background to be able to receive those messages. So what you'll want to do is not completely close out of the app and then swipe up, because that closes out of it and gets rid of it completely. But you'll just want to have it on in the background and just close it out of your main screen. Don't swipe up. Otherwise, you won't get notified about any incoming messages. If your kids make friends, or you make friends with somebody that's in another stateroom, then you can get their 6-digit chat ID number. I think it's 6-digit chat ID number. It'll be there at the top. You can edit your own name. If you have older kids, let's say like high school, teenage kids that have their own devices, or just people they want to chat with, you can enable those abilities on their devices as well. We didn't for our kids, because we didn't really utilize that other than knowing when our kids were coming in and out of the Oceaneer Club. But you can get that chat ID from the next person, and then you can send them a message back and forth. And that's a free way to communicate without actually using any kind of data plans on board or anything like that. Oh, no. Doris said, the reason why I asked is my father had a fall in the washroom and bumped his head on their cruise. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry. You know, that's actually one place we didn't visit. We didn't go to any of the laundry facilities. We just happened to bring a bag. It's just kind of our customary thing to do. If there's not in-room laundry service, like at some of the Disney villas, we tend to just bag up our stuff and just put it in a trash bag that smells good. And then we bag it up and real tight and seal it up. And then we take it to go on. and then we'll do our laundry once we get home. So that's just kind of been our way of doing that. But I'm sorry to hear that. Hi, Nicole. I'm so glad to see you here too. Oh, totally understand. You're heading to Los Angeles, Audrey. That's amazing. Have fun and safe travels to you. But no, Amy, we opted out of the Halloween cruise. And the reason for that was the kids got really, really excited too when they heard that the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party is coming back. And we really hated telling them, hey, we're spending a lot of money on this cruise. We just won't have it to be able to spend that on the tickets for everybody to go and the cruise all in the same month. So when we gave them that option and said, hey, if we move this cruise up and we cancel the September cruise, we'll make it up to you by doing a cruise again next year, and we'll take you to the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party this year. So they were good with that.
Plus the kids' commitment to the school. So we would have to take them out.
So that was another thing too, is we would have had to have taken the kids out because again, it would have left on a Monday through a Friday, like what we did for the sailing. But this one just kind of worked out. We were able to miss all of their finals with their state testing, and we were able to not have any kind of end of year coursework that we were running into. It just really was a convenient time. So right place, right time, right price. And we got 2 rooms out of it, which I can tell you now, after that, we were spoiled because I don't know that we could share just the split bathroom.
But our room is jam-packed, so, with everything.
Yeah, our room was jam-packed. Like, as I felt like we took very little. I don't feel like we took a whole lot with us, and we did a really good job at trying to make sure we didn't overpack, because I'm known to pack extra outfits or extra socks or underclothes or extra bathing suits just in case somebody's got a wet one and you didn't want a wet maybe or a wet bathing suit. So I'm bad for that. Jonathan helped me in making sure I didn't overpack. But even with as little as I felt like we took, our whole room was full. So everything, just like how you've seen in some of the Walt Disney World resort rooms, I think it really started with the cruise line, because to maximize such a small space, they've given you room to slide your luggage up underneath the bed there. So that really helped. I don't know that Disney Cruise Line gives you a limit to how many bags you can take on board. I think I kind of hit my limit at 2 per person myself for our family. I know we didn't even take that many, but we saw lots of people utilizing those porters there at port, and they had the big carts, and they were like 12 deep stacked, and we're talking big luggage. Yeah, sounds like a good deal to me, right? Amy said, we can't beat that Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. Yeah, for sure. The first year it's coming back, we've done the cruise. It was great. It was a wonderful experience, but being able to be back for the very first Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, or one of the first again, as it's coming back in that initial year, they were like, yeah, we'll get candy, we'll be on, it'll be fine. So they're not hurting. And we did give them a choice, and they're good with it. They're good with it. Did you know that Disaster Squad's Rosie Movie 4 has a Disney cruise reference? I did not know that. Whoa, that's really cool. Interesting. So there are 4 ships. We were on the Disney Dream. There are 5 almost now. So originally started with a couple of ships here. The Disney Wonder and Magic are sister ships. They're smaller ships. The Disney Dream and Fantasy are sister ships. They're a little bit larger. And I believe the Disney Wish is just about like 3 feet longer than the Dream and Fantasy. We were on the Dream, so that meant we were on one of the larger ships. But I'm sure you couldn't tell the difference between, the length there. In fact, actually, from day one, when we were embarking at the port, you can see kind of the mock-up, if you will, of the Disney Magic, the first ship. So that was really nice to be able to show the kids the differences in the ships and the sizes and everything. So yeah, just so you know the difference, each ship is going to have its own length and how long it sails, where it sails from, what ports they go out of, and Port Canaveral is going to be the only one that has that Mickey head shape there. Who was your ship's godmother? Barbara, I forgot to ask. Jonathan said Mariah Carey. He asked. He looked it up. You say my girl? He said, my girl. Oh, man. Yep. So Mariah Carey apparently is the ship's godmother. I didn't even know that was a thing until Barbara told me. She was like, you got to ask who the ship's godmother is. So Disney has loads of entertainment. My whole thing going into this was, it's a cruise ship. We're going to be bored because I'm used to the parks. You all know how much I love the rides. And I really did think that I was going to go on here. I knew that there was going to be a ton of food, and I figured that was really going to be just about it. Like the kids would have a place to be and do and see, and that was going to be great. And I knew there would be character meet and greets. I knew there would be a couple of things on board, but I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to be kept well enough. And I have to eat my words because I'm so glad that I was surprised that I was wrong. So as you probably saw on the TV in our stateroom, you can see the Daily Navigator. It looks like an old TV guide, old person reference here. So if you're familiar with the TV guide and how it kind of scrolls, you can scroll it along yourself with the remote, but it'll take you through the times. It'll tell you a little blurb about what the experience is like and tell you where on the ship it is. It'll tell you the deck, and it'll tell you if it's midship, forward towards the front of the ship, or aft towards the back of the ship. So that was fun. That was fun, kind of picking and choosing and figuring out what we wanted. If you favorited it in the Disney Cruise Line app and put a little heart next to it, it could give you about a 15-minute notification and say, oh, hey, you said you wanted to attend this thing or you like this thing. It's getting ready to start. So that was nice. My only complaint to that was all the things that I wanted to do all fell around the exact same time. And that made me really sad. So like one of the videos you'll see towards the end there, I think it was our day at sea, they were doing anyone can cook lesson, which clearly Myranda can't cook. So I was like, yes, we're going to go ahead and do the anyone can cook lesson. And they were cooking lobster ravioli. And I was like, oh my gosh, we got to get there. And the next thing I know, we're walking to bingo. And I'm like, wait a minute. They're doing the anyone can cook class.
But what we showed them was our version of our experience. If you were an adult, no children,
right?
There was bars, there was 18 plus only areas.
Yes.
There was clubs, there was silent dancing, there was.
I missed the silent dancing.
There's things that were probably, I guess. Non-censored music.
Well,
whatever.
there was an 18 and older, so
Yeah.
it would tell you if it was an adults-only experience, like the anyone can cook
Yeah, we
experience.
didn't do none of that.
That was 18 and older.
Yeah.
So they asked that only adults attend those. Obviously, for beverage seminars, they had mixologies, they had the anyone can cook, and then bourbon tasting, cognac tasting, margarita and tequila tastings.
Yeah, there was a lot.
And that was so
more.
much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
But they had like a silent dance party where you could have a headset and be able to tune it into like a dance station, but you would just kind of bob your head around and like you never knew who else was like listening to another station, but you all were just kind of dancing there. I wish we could have done a lot of the adult experiences, but we didn't. Oh, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that because going back to food, there was also Remy and Palo. They are the two adult-only food experiences on the ships. So they're both on the Dream and the Fantasy. And Remy is more of a dinner. It's a high-end dinner, like think signature dining for Disney World, like Le Cellier, Victoria and Albert's. Remy's is like Topolino's. Yeah, exactly like Topolino's for dinner. So Remy's is like Topolino's. Palo, you can have a brunch. You can book. Let me back up. Remy, you can book for dinner. You can also book it for a dessert only experience. I think that was in and of itself like $60 just for the dessert. For this cruise, I was like, we're not going to swing that because I feel like we're already going to be fooded out. So we didn't opt for that. Palo, the same way. They've got a brunch option and I think a lunch and dinner as well. Don't quote me on that, but I know for sure brunch and I think lunch for certain. It's a little bit less costly. It's kind of like a moderate, like a step into that. but such great food. I've seen videos on it. I want to do it. I just didn't have the time really to do it yet. So maybe we'll do that next time. We'll do some of the adult only experiences
There's
there.
concierge. only
There's
there?
concierge only. There's concierge lounge. We didn't cruise concierge. That might be something
One day.
one day John says that we can try and squeeze in
The kids went
for
up
research
there.
purposes. Research purposes, right? Let's see. Now that you've done this cruise, would you prefer the same amount of days or a bit longer? That's what I was hoping to show through the cruise vlogs, was not only my hesitation, but the kids' hesitation. Poor Jonathan editing those videos. I think he had to cut out me saying all right about 25 different times. And I'm not even exaggerating that. And he said, you didn't do this on the next day. I said, no, because I wasn't nervous. But I was very nervous getting on the very first day. So everything that I turned the camera on, it was all right, all right, all right, which I know would have gotten really annoying because it was annoying to me. I liked the 4 days. I really did like the 4 days. I felt like it was 3 days to me would have been too short. So just for reference, 3 days would have meant we had no day at sea. So we would have went to Nassau, would have left. So that's day one. They count that as night one. Would have went to Nassau, would have went to Castaway Cay, and then back to port. 4 days I felt like was just right, especially for our first cruise, because we got the first night at sea or day at sea, then Nassau, then Castaway Cay, then a full day at sea, and then we redocked. So I felt like 4 days was enough. I think that's probably what we'll do the next sailing as well. 5 days I would be open to, but I think you get two turns at Castaway Cay on those if you're leaving from the U.S. 7 days to me, I feel like would be too long for like the Caribbean cruises. I would be open to the Mexico itinerary though on the Fantasy. I think that one, the 7 day would be okay with me for that. So I'll work my way up to the 7 day. But I got to get some sea legs about me and build up some sea stamina. I don't know if you could tell in the videos or not. I went from I'm going to be bored and I'm not going to have anything to do and sitting around doesn't do me any kind of justice and it's not my thing, to, oh my gosh, I'm running from thing to thing to thing. And my eyes were red and I was tired. We were struggling to stay awake at like 9:30 at night. Like we would go to dinner and would have our stomachs full and we'd be like, oh yeah, they're still meeting and greeting till 11, but that bed looks really comfy right now. So unfortunately, we were usually in bed by 10 o'clock at night the first 2 nights. So I tried really hard to stay awake for the Pirates in the Caribbean. And what you don't see in that video is I'm sitting there holding that on my lap, like ready to take a nap just before the fireworks started. So I don't have a whole lot of pictures and stuff. I kind of relied on Jonathan a lot for those. But it wore me out. And I don't know if it was just the walking across the ship from place to place, or if it was just, I wasn't used to it. Because if you'll remember, we had a couple weeks that we were taking kind of a pause from a lot of time in the parks because about 16 days before we were due to sail, Natalie got COVID. And unfortunately for us, or fortunately for us, it was well within Disney's window that they've outlined for what they call letter of recovery. So if you're not familiar and you haven't seen our pre-cruise vlog or live chat, Disney currently has a thing where if you were to be COVID positive between 90 to 11 days prior to your sail date, embarkation day, and you have a positive test, you can get a letter of recovery from a doctor, board certified doctor. They've got all their guidelines outlined, but it has to say that you tested positive on X day and that you were under their care and that you are clear to sail or clear to travel by X day. So what that allows for is they're taking the 10-day recommendation by the CDC that's currently in place. So their recommendation on that is 5 days quarantine, 5 days of wearing a mask, and then day 11, you're good. The reason why they give such a large window for that 90 days, though, is because there have been people that have tested positive up to 90 days, even after they've recovered. So the running theory is they're trying to get everybody encompassed in that. So if you were to falsely test positive at port, because they are still testing people at port, then you would be recognized as recently having COVID, testing positive, and having recovered with that letter. So because Nat had COVID before, we were very cautious. Well, we took obviously that quarantine, that full 10-day time out of the parks. I did pop in for a couple things, but I didn't stay in the parks very long. It was just to kind of film some video and back, unless I was live for a little bit, which wasn't much leading up into that. So maybe my stamina was just down from theme parks, but I felt like there was just so much to do and so little time to do it. The entertainment on there was phenomenal. Not only like the classes, but there were drawing classes that we didn't get to go to, similar to what you see at Animal Kingdom, where they have a cast member kind of walk you through, a Disney animator walk you through all of the drawing experiences for different Disney characters. And it was a different character each class, so you weren't going to get bored. The only thing that I really hated was they didn't do a towel folding class until the very last day, and they only offered one class. And I feel like they should have offered that multiple times because that would have been a really neat class to take. So even when you were at port, if you didn't want to get off at Nassau, if you didn't want to get off at Castaway Cay, or if you only wanted to go out for half a day and come back, there was plenty still to do around the ship. They were not stopping the entertainment. They were not stopping all the happenings. That's the best time to tour the ship. If you want some time to get on the aqueduct, if you want some time in the pool or the hot tubs, or just to get out and explore the ship, do that while everybody's out at port. And that was amazing. We weren't in Nassau very long, maybe like 3 hours tops. Yeah, we picked up the kids a couple things. We were able to leave them in the Oceaneer Club while we went out to Nassau. We had some kind of yucky weather, but that cleared up by the time we were out. And that was nice. We really only wanted to be out to sightsee. It wasn't really our goal to get out there and eat. They just had a lot of similar locations as to what we have here at home, and we had already paid for the food on the ship. So our goal was to get off.
That night, the food was Caribbean.
Yeah, they changed the theming of the food depending on where you were. So we felt like it was a better value to us just to kind of utilize what we'd already paid for. While we did get off and do some shopping and supporting their local governments and people there, we didn't spend a whole lot of time out and about other than just sightseeing and getting back. So we did lunch back on board the ship. Oh, good. I'm so glad that you guys are getting some good information here. So not only do they have all those different classes, they've got character meet and greets that start early in the day. And like I said, they go on till like 11 o'clock at night. They have characters meeting and greeting all day long. They don't bring out ice cream until about noon. So you won't see the ice cream like Monsters, Inc., like Mike Wazowski. You won't see him out until about noon open. They started off with chocolate and vanilla soft serve and then swirl. They'll provide everything for you, the cone. And then now you can actually swirl that on your own. You don't have to wait for a cast member to hand that to you like they had been doing, which was really nice. Same thing with Vanilla Peas, Sweets and Treats. That's an extra charge. So it's an extra shop that you can go into. They serve gelato, but they've got all kinds of flavors there. And you'll see, and I think it's the day 4 video at sea, we opted in for the Vanellope's race car, the go-kart. So they let us get 3 flavors and 6 different toppings. I think it was barely $15, if even. And it was good. It was very good ice cream.
It was only 15 because we bought the cupcakes.
Oh, it was 15 because we bought the cupcake. So then it was $12.95 because we bought the cupcake on top of it.
And then you get a 15%.
Look how tan I got.
And you
Listen.
get a discount if you're DVC or
yes, and you do get Disney Vacation Club discounts and annual pass holder discounts. However, it's a little different because you have to buy $50 worth of stuff to start that discount. Otherwise, if you're just picking up something here or there, then you're not going to be able to receive that discount all in one whack. Myranda did not originally get very tan on the cruise. Myranda got very, very burnt. So we had plans and getting off a Castaway Key and being able to snorkel. And so Jonathan took the big kids out while I kind of stayed with Nat, and the water was super cold. So letter of caution, if you're not a fan of cold water, I don't recommend getting in the water at Castaway Key as soon as you get off the ship. Wait till about after 1 o'clock or so, because you're able to be there until about 4:45. You're not due back on the ship until then, after then. So I would wait till the sun's hit the water just a little bit longer. I think maybe it had something to do with the rain that we got in. It kind of sprinkled, and then it like rained cats and dogs, rained really, really, really hard. And then all of a sudden it just went away as soon as it was time for all of us to get off. I really hope the next time we cruise, I wish we wouldn't have taken as long to get to breakfast and then get off the ship, because I feel like we missed a lot of the character appear in waves. They call them appear in waves because they're not necessarily a meet and greet because they're distanced still. But you'll have Pluto and Goofy and Chip and Dale and Mickey and Minnie, and they all have their little cars out, and they're waving from their vehicles or waving from the side of the walkway there. And we didn't get to explore all of the island, so that's something we hope to do next time too. Did Myranda use her sunscreen? So I was a big girl and I did use the sunscreen, but I did not reapply the sunscreen. And I got to the point where I was burnt enough. It's why you see me with the hat on, with Devin's hat. And then I ended up like having to put Jonathan's shirt on because I was so burnt, and I was afraid that I was going to get burnt to the point that like there was no return. Like it was going to be awful for me. So I at one point I was like, I really hate to be a bother, but I'm pretty sure I'm like spent. I need to get out of the water now. How do they know everyone is back on the ship? Great question. Actually, so when you get off the ship, you're given one of these cards, right? Or when you get on the ship, right? So this is your key to the world card. So they're going to give you one per passenger, even the small kids. So you have to make sure if you're getting off the ship, you have this and your driver's license at a minimum. If you have a passport, that's even better. But you have to have this, and you have to have your ID credentials, right? So in Nassau, they scan you as you're going out. But let me rephrase that. Anywhere but Disney's Castaway Key, they're going to scan you, and it's your responsibility to make sure you get back on the ship. Unfortunately, we've seen plenty of videos of what they like to call port runners that wave, like they're flagging down the ship. And if you know anything about these ships, they're not stopping for you. They've already packed up and they're gone. Yeah. Have you ever seen people miss the time to get back on the ship from excursions? Absolutely.
I found out that it's because they rent the port for a certain amount of time. So then it could cost them thousands.
Oh, Jonathan said he found out it's because they rent they rent the space on the port for a certain amount of time. So if they are late, it could cost them thousands of dollars. There's a caveat to that. I'll get to that here in just a second. So if you are taking your own excursions, meaning you're either going out sightseeing or you're taking a bus tour or you're going out on your own, and you've said, I didn't like any of Disney's shore excursions on land, I'm going to go and do my own thing. That's totally fine. You can do that. The only thing is you need to make certain you are back at your appointed time. That will change, and it's got to be local time too, ship time. Because if you get into where you're changing time zones, like with that Mexico itinerary, there's a good chance you could be on Central Time, which wouldn't be a bad thing if you're an hour early because we're Eastern Time. But you want to make sure that your time is coordinated with ship time. We had people on our sailing that were international. Like they came from other countries to sail on this ship. So when you come back on board, they're going to scan you back in and they're going to check your ID again. Kids don't necessarily need their ID. They're not going to have it, right? They're going to tell you, leave your stuff in the stateroom, leave like your passports and stuff in the safe. I say take it with you. You never know when an emergency is going to come, which is where cruise insurance kind of comes into play, hot and heavy, because if you fall and you break an ankle or you have a heat stroke or like Randa and you get sunburnt really, really, really bad, and you need medical attention, they're going to need to see your ID. And spoiler too, if you're cruising without a passport and you need to be airlifted or you have an emergency while you're out of the country, you can't go anywhere because you don't have a passport. So bear that in mind too whenever you're picking your cruising and all your credentials and getting everything together, right? Sandy said, yep, saw 6 people last cruise standing on the dock in panic mode. Yep, the only thing you can do is smile and wave. Smile and wave. Now, fortunately enough for those folks, yes, they're stuck at port. However, they do have folks there on board. They will kind of rendezvous with the consulate, get them to either the next port of call or some kind of transportation home. But they can't do that unless they've got their passport, right? So they're stuck in that country until they talk to the consulate and all that good kind of stuff. It's going to get really messy, really costly, a lot of time, and very expensive to get you back off that island, right? So yes, don't miss your port times. I will caveat that in saying, if you have booked a Disney ordained port adventure, they call them port adventures, short excursions on the ship, they're going to call them port adventures. If you booked that directly through Disney and Disney is late, that's on them. The ship will wait for you. As long as it is a Disney booked port adventure, they will wait for you if you're late. Very rarely does it happen, but they will wait. That's going to be the only instance that that boat is waiting. Or that ship is waiting.
You're not allowed to bring perishables back.
Yes, you also cannot bring perishables back. You will go through customs. You can't bring, well, so let me caveat that. Jonathan said, or alcohol. You can bring alcohol back. You cannot drink it. You cannot be drinking it as you're going on board, and you cannot drink it on board. They will take it from you. They will store it for you, and then you are able to pick it up as you are leaving the cruise. Like, they will give it back to you. Also, same policy with alcohol. As you're onboarding, per adult, each adult per stateroom. No, that's wrong. Per stateroom, you're allowed 6 cans of beer, 1 6-pack per stateroom, and up to 2, I think it's 750 milliliter bottles of wine, like a standard bottle of wine, 2 per stateroom. That's it for the whole cruise. Yeah, I will never be late on that ship. Yeah, so it sounds really scary, but I promise you it's not near as bad as trying to make it as what I'm making it sound like. We were back on the ship. We were done in Nassau in 2 hours, almost 3. So we saw what we wanted to see.
Well, unfortunately,
we did what we did.
We're not planning on using our cash. And
yeah,
you do get a $5 fee per every purchase.
So actually, yeah, so that's a good thing too, is if you're going to be cruising, you're getting off board, we didn't get cash out. It's just not how we roll. That's not our thing. And we use our cards everywhere. So we designated 1 credit card for this trip. So we would kind of limit ourselves on a budget. We would know what we were spending and where we were spending.
No debit cards.
We always use a credit card when we're out of the country so we can recover any kind of fraud or anything like that. Never a debit card, because that's hooked to our own personal bank accounts. Same for you. I'm going to give you the exact same advice because you're family here. If we needed cash in those instances, they did have ATMs in Nassau. However, you have to remember, you're not the only ship at port. We had 3 other ships at port, so there was a total of 4, and everybody was trying to use those ATMs. And out of 5 of them, 4 were down. So we had 1 ATM between 4 different ships and the locals.
And it's $8 to get out money.
And they tried to tell us that it was only a $5 charge to get money out. And spoiler, it was actually $9. So bear that in mind. And so, you know, when you're doing that, bring ones too, right, Barbara? Bring small bills. Don't bring those larger bills, because they're going to tell you they're not going to give you any cash back too. They're hagglers there on the
Unfortunately, you're going to have to negotiate.
Yeah, you're going to have to negotiate. Now, the one good thing, too, about being on Castaway Cay, because it's Disney's private island, everything that you purchase there goes to your stateroom charges. They don't want your cash. They don't want you to break out your card. They're going to charge it to your room. So make sure that when you do your online check-in, it's going to have you put a card on file. You'll see us put a different card on file, but that was because we were designating that one card.
And keep in mind the amount of money that you have on that card will, you know, because when you're on vacation, you just kind of Sure.
Make sure that you're keeping up with what you're spending as well. There's a lot of people that will do similar to like what they do with their Walt Disney World rooms, and they'll say, I want to pay with Disney gift cards. You can do that. You can use Disney gift cards for Disney Cruise Line, or they want to pay cash towards their stateroom purchases. Just keep up with your spending. It's very easy to do. You're like $6 here, $8 here. Just slide my card. It's very, very easy to do. But you want to make sure that you know what you're spending, where you're spending, how often you're spending. I will say Disney Cruise Line was very good about the other kinds of merchandise purchases, like the Vanellope's and other than like Remy and Palo, which kind of the flat rate cost of what that's going to look like. They were very budget friendly. Like popcorn, you can buy a bucket, but if you bring your own popcorn bucket from like Walt Disney World or another souvenir bucket, the popcorn refills are $1.50. I mean, it's really not that bad as far as that goes. Now, you could probably rack up some good charges in popcorn.
No taxes at sea though.
And you're going to ask, Rando, we saw you walk by a couple of the times in the shops and they're closed. Yeah, they're closed because the shops on the ship, that could have gotten tricky. The shops on the ship only open when you are at sea. They will not be open when you're at port. And the reason for that is while you're at port, you got to pay taxes. When you're at sea, there's no taxes. So that's the time to shop around all the shops. They've got white sails, Mickey's Treasure, or White Caps, Mickey's Treasures. Let's see, what else they have?
The diamond place.
There was a diamond place too. They used to have Tiffany and Company, but I think it's all just Diamonds International now. And keep close eye on that itinerary because they give away complimentary charms through Diamonds International at their jewelry store. So we were able to get a charm bracelet and like 2 or 3 different charms that kind of started on that charm bracelet. It was a nice little keepsake that we didn't have to pay for. You just have to show up at the time that they say that they're giving those away. Yeah, Barbara, no fruit. No fruit. So you'll see us towards the debarkation video, and I'm not allowed to film it because it's customs, U.S. customs, obviously. But they're going to tell you, you can't bring any fruit back. And I hate that, but it's just to kind of keep any kinds of pests separate from different areas. I think it's just to tax it. I don't know for certain, but they're going to tell you can't bring any kind of like perishables or any kind of fruit back with you.
Like a $500
Oh, Jonathan said it's a pretty hefty fine. So yeah. Yeah, I've wondered how they've gotten back, especially if they don't have documentation or money with them. That's a really sticky situation, Sandy. And I don't know anybody personally that's been in any of those situations, but I can imagine it's probably not a pleasant one. And any travel agent that you work with, side note, is going to tell you the same kind of thing. Like even they can't help you in those situations. That's a government type situation at that point. So yeah, just be on time. Just be mindful. Make sure that your watch is either working or charged. That you got a phone on you or something, some way to keep up with the time there. Disney had lots of excursions to book. Even in Nassau, they had a day pass for Atlantis. So if you've ever seen Atlantis or wanted to visit it there in the Bahamas, it's its own resort. It's phenomenal. It's ginormous. I kind of wish we had made our way over there. However, I'm also glad that we held something back so we have something to look forward to the next time. You can visit there without actually going into their water park. They'll let you in. But you can buy a day pass for their water park. It would have been pretty expensive for us and our family. So we were like, we're going to go to the beach the next day. Yeah, they've got Margaritaville. They've got Señor Frogs. Like I said, there was just a lot of things for us and our experience that we have here in Orlando. So it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to do those things here.
You don't
If you're not here, you're from the Midwest or, somewhere else where you don't have those too often, by all means, you go ahead and you get on there and you eat that food. We found ourselves talking to the locals and the cast members on the ship about other places to kind of snack and eat there too, which unfortunately we didn't do. But we'll have to do it next time. And they're the best resources to talk to about the best kinds of food because, they take contracts for months at a time and they are able to get off the ships too. Yeah, Barbara said, I've seen customs take an apple from a kid. Yeah, it happens. It happens. And same thing with drinks. We asked them because the kids had a to-go cup of their water that they've given to them at breakfast. And we're like, oh, hey, can we take this? It's a nice little souvenir cup. And they're like, you can take the cup, but you can't take the drink in it. And by that point, we'd already gotten our luggage packed up and everything. So as you're coming off the ship, oh, sorry, let me wrap up excursions. So not only are there certain excursions in Nassau, like the day pass to Atlantis, you can do dolphin encounters. You can swim with the dolphins if you want and feed them and things like that. They've also got bus tours, Jeep tours. There's a pirates, a cruise. It's an extra ship that you get on, but it looks like a full-blown Blackbeard's pirate ship. It's really cool. We almost booked it, but we were like, no, the kids are having just a fun time in the Oceaneer Club, so we didn't bother them. Oh, the Oceaneer Club is open from 9 a.m. to midnight every day. Your kids can be there as long or as short as they want to. They can come and go as long as they want to. They had different things for them. So that's open for the smaller age groups. They've got iPads there. They can color. They make art. They do crafts. They've got the Wii's and Xbox and PlayStations there. They make friends there. They do dance parties. They do Simon Says. They have a Pluto's pajama party that I'm sure that you saw Natalie's little cute pillowcase on. Yeah. And they made Stitch's space goo, so it's like slime. But the kids loved it, and they're able to come back again and again and again. So that was for some of the younger kids, 13 and younger, or 12 and younger. So Kendall was able to go to that one, but then she was also able to go to Edge, which was their next section up. It's for like the preteens. So Edge has like air hockey and Just Dance, and then they did like trivia questions and like get to know you type kind of stuff. And it was just a nice like chill place for them to hang out where there weren't so many little kids running around with people their own age. Then the next step up from that is for your high schoolers. It's called Vibe. It's also just kind of a nice hangout nook, not a whole lot high energy going on. They have a couple of things, but they really just try to make it a nice hangout for the kids. And then they do dance parties too. And the last thing that I didn't know about too well was the 1820 Society. And I need to do a little bit more research on it, but the 1820 Society is built out for people that are just like the barely adults, age 18 to 20 years old. So you can sign up for that functionality through the Disney Cruise Line app, and they'll know it based on your age when you are on the app and everything and booking your cruise. But they do different kinds of socials. In fact, when we went to Vanellope's, their social for the day was an ice cream social. So everybody that was in that little club of the 1820 Society got free ice cream from a cast member, as long as they were kind of participating. They got to talk amongst themselves and just hang out, meet the other people that are around their age, which was really nice because they're not quite adult enough, but they're also not kids either. So they were kind of in that in between. And I really do like that Disney truly did have something for everybody there. Hi, Anna Marie. How are you? Yeah, the Jolly Roger. But I think it was called Blackbeard's Pirate, but they had like a full-on show. Like they were swinging from the ropes and everything. That was in Nassau. We did do the Castaway Key 5K.
Oh, I don't think that.
Oh, sorry. We did do the Castaway Key 5K. Now, as of right now, that's not a group experience like it used to be. So the way it used to work is you would sign up on the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app or sign up on the website ahead of time. And everybody would get off the ship early and you run it all together. Like they've got a start and a finish line. Hey, Stephanie.
The culture was awesome, though.
Yeah.
Super friendly.
But now, because of all the new reopening procedures, they ask that you do that individually. You don't have to run it. You can run it, you can walk it, you can bike it, whatever you want. And then once you're done, they'll hand you these cute little lanyards. Oh, thanks, honey. But they'll hand you these cute little lanyards. You can see all the different kinds of flowers and everything. Kendall and I ran it in flip-flops and ice cream. But it says Disney Cruise Line on it, and it's a rubber metal, so it's kind of flimsy. This says Castaway Key 5K on it. It's very nice. And they've got in the middle of the loop that you run, there's a watchtower where you can go up a couple flights and go and look out over everything. They've got bicycles there. They've got aqua trikes. They've got a banana boat. They have jet skis, but you can't rent those. They've got a stingray encounter.
Not right now.
But Natalie wasn't old enough to do
You
stingray
wanted to do
encounter.
the,
Parasailing. I wanted to do the parasailing so bad, but we just didn't have the time. And I think that's a 2-person parasail. So they've got lots and lots of things to do there. They've also got Scuttle's Cove. So if your kids really love the kids club enough and they wanted to continue that, or you just wanted to go as the adults for just a little bit over to Serenity Bay, which is just the adults only section, you can check your kids into Scuttle's Cove, let them play around with the other kids there. It's their kids club. They can't, check themselves out. And then you can go on over to Serenity Bay. In terms of food, they all, everybody's on the island at the same time, right? So their remedy to that for everybody that's on the island is they have 3 different stations. So Serenity Bay, the adults only section, has its own section for food, right? It's also a buffet, same as the other 2. But then there's Cookies and Cookies 2, T-O-O, not T-W-O. But Cookies and Cookies 2 is a self-service buffet. They've got ribs, they've got pulled pork, they've got barbecue chicken, they've got Cajun chicken, they've got hamburgers, hot dogs, French fries, potato salad, fresh fruit is back. Fresh cold fruit is back. Then they've got bags of chips and everything. So yeah, no wonder you all were so tired. I was worried about not having anything to do, and I found myself having to pick and choose between what I wanted to do. I wish I would have had an opportunity, though, to see the shows a second time. Golden Mickey's was our first night because we were at sea. It's always a great show. They all sing, and it's phenomenal performance. I was blown away. I think we all were blown away by Beauty and the Beast that second night. So much so that I was about ready to say, we don't need to eat at Anna Rave's palate. I want to go see that show again. But get there early. Our cruise, typically, the cruise ship that we were on typically holds about 4,000 passengers at capacity. I think we were booked for just around 2,500, but I think the final count once we were on board was 2,383. So we had just about half capacity on the ship. So we didn't have to get there as early as I made us get there in line, but it was just a great, great show. So in the future, because they're going to start opening up those capacities in the future, if these are shows that you really want to get a great seat for, either on the bottom floor or that next deck up on 3 or 4 and in the mezzanine sections on the balcony sides, make sure if you have a specific seating area you want that you're getting in line very early. And then the last show that we saw was Disney's Believe, which you don't have a whole lot to go on there, but it's a Disney formed show. It's all about the magic of and the wonder of being a kid and having that imagination enough to believe in the magic and believing in yourself. Yeah, the genie was amazing. So they've got familiar characters that are brought in to help adults believe in that magic again. And it did make me a little teary-eyed. Not as much as Beauty and the Beast, but the same cast that did Beauty and the Beast did Disney's Believe. And then they were also our pirates for Pirates Night. And that just blew my mind away that they were so talented enough to memorize and coordinate and remember all of their blocking and their lines and their dancing. And they were hour-long shows, guys. These were no small feats.
And it makes you appreciate their work too, because
Mhm.
they lived there 5 months in a row. Imagine every day of your life at sea.
Yeah. They live there full time on the ship. While they're able to get off when we get off, it's not like they can just come and go, or they get to check out and peace out and go home like the cast members in the Disney parks. I'm not saying anything bad about the cast members that are on land, but I can tell you without a doubt, these are the happiest, most willing and able-bodied crew that we've ever come across cast member-wise. Like, they were happy to be there and see us, but we were also recognizing their interactions with everybody else. Like, I know personally, if I was on a ship for 5 months, I'd be like in a bad, crummy mood. But they were nothing short of upbeat, personable. They wanted conversation with you. They wanted to make sure all your needs were met. And in one of those, I think it's day 2 videos, they don't know how to tell you no. on these cruise ships. It's like not in their vocabulary. They are going to go out of their way above and beyond to make sure that you are over the top taken care of. Nat was getting a little antsy wanting to go back to the kids club, the Oceaneer Club, because we had the late dinner, and she was like, I'm ready to go back. And we hadn't ordered dessert just yet. So our head server came around. He said, oh, what's wrong? And I said, oh, just flippantly, I said, oh, she's just wanting to get back to the Oceaneer Club real quickly. And we hadn't had a chance to order dessert just yet. And he said, what does she want? And so we went through a couple options, and he said, you know what? I'll bring it right out to you. He did. Less than 5 minutes, that man had 2 desserts per each kid waiting. And even let us wrap ours up and take it to go. It was amazing. Hi, Denise. Totally fine. We're glad to see you here. So nothing short at all in entertainment, in the cast member interactions. The characters were phenomenal. Aside from character interactions, they have live music and entertainment. We saw bands playing. We saw duos playing. We saw a electric violinist. She was amazing. I think maybe there was part of the video I kind of had to like move away from or film back in our room because in the atrium she was just so loud, but it was so grand. I do recommend purchasing the photo packages through Shutters, the regular photography packages ahead of time. Not only will it save you money, similar to the Memory Maker packages, but there's so many opportunities for photos, which I didn't realize. So we didn't opt in for that. And I kind of wish we had now. But there's so many opportunities for not only cast member taking photos of you with the meet and greets, but they take photos around the island. They take photos of you at dinner or at your meal times. They take photos of you on the ship doing certain activities. And then they've got different photo backdrops everywhere to just take some photos. So if you wanted to dress up one night, or if you wanted to take family portraits, they even have a studio. Like you can book a full-on studio session there at their Shutters photo station there. And it's its own separate area, and they're amazing. We did get to look at a couple of the photos there, and they're amazing. Actually, you'll see in some of the videos there, if you hadn't already, we were doing this. One of the photographers came around to us the first night, and she was taking pictures of us. And Jonathan said, oh, wait, get my good side. And he went like this. So every once in a while in our videos, you'll see Kendall or me, like we'll just be doing this. It was just a reference to that. He was just, you know, we really had a good time reconnecting. Also,
it helped having the kids back because
yeah,
they're home, they're on their computers, they're on their tablets.
Yep. So that was really kind of the main thing that we took away on the last day that we were getting off was we realized very quickly if we want our kids back, if we want to have a bubble for vacation with them, book a cruise. We cut them off from their phones. We cut them off from their iPads and their electronics. And it was so refreshing to be able to sit down and have a conversation with them, talk about everybody's day, whether we did it together or we were doing things separately. We were all engaged in the conversation. And that's something we personally had been missing for quite some time. Now, once we got back to port and all the notifications started coming up, like everybody's turning everything on, we lost them. But that's kind of our inside joke is if we need our kids back, we got to go book another cruise. But it was really a refreshing time to sit down with them, reconnect on another personal level again, and just be ourselves without our interruptions, without our attention being shared. However, I will kind of segue that into Disney Cruise Line internet is not the best internet right now. I know that they're working on that. It's kind of ancient and archaic and very primitive. And it's also very expensive for their data packages. So in conjunction with making sure of what your data roaming charges with your cell providers are going to look like, or if you need to do work or emergency things while you're on board, make sure that you know what that's going to look like with your cell providers or your internet providers if you have a mobile hotspot or anything like that. That being said, they do offer data packages on board. I think the cheapest though was like $49 for like 200 megabytes. And if you're familiar with what 200 megabytes is, or you're like me and you're scratching your head going, huh? That's like an email. That's like an email. Now, as you cruise more often, like the gold level, and we'll get to that, or the concierge, if you've booked a concierge package, there are data plans that are included with those. So there are some perks there. But for just regular bookings, they have different data packages. I think you could book like 1 gigabyte of data for $89, $100, something like that. There's going to be Wi-Fi as you get off on port at like Nassau and everything. But again, you want to check with your cell provider because they're going to have roaming charges beyond that. So even one phone call, one outbound phone call for 1 minute would have cost us $5. To receive text messages on our carrier, on Verizon, it would have been, what do you say, 5 cents, 50 cents? To receive a text message? Message, not a picture message. I think it was like 5 cents. But to send it, it would have cost us like $3. Bam, in an instant. So be aware of that. You're gonna be like, oh, hey, I've got internet, but you want to make sure.
It was $2.99 per minute on call.
Yeah, $3 per minute on a
5 cents
call.
to receive and 50 cents to send a text.
50 cents to send a text message. So if you've got those avid texters like my kids, and they're like, okay, LOL.
Back to 2001.
Okay, be right there. 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents. So and that's going to be carrier specific. So you want to check in on all that. Just know that even if you buy one of those data packages, it's going to be archaic. It's going to be slow, and you're going to run through that internet rather quickly. So again, that's going to go on your stateroom charges. So just be aware of what you're purchasing and how much it is. I'm scared to get our cell phone bill. I thought I had turned everything off on my phone. Work with the people on board to make sure that you turned everything off, because even though we thought we had turned everything off, I still was getting in notifications from like Instagram and Facebook and everything. I was like, oh no, this is going to run up my internet. So we had to do some soul searching to make sure we had turned everything off. And we literally just had to turn everything, like go in and like disable. And we had to get app specific with it too. So keep that in mind. I will caveat that and say it's only available to you the day that you board. Only available to you. But you can sign up for a free 50 megabyte plan per stateroom. So because we had to have an adult in each stateroom initially, obviously Jonathan and I both got 50 megabytes apiece. I think I happened to accidentally open Facebook and I glanced at something and I forgot
We
that
hadn't even
left. Bam, used 50 megabytes. Bam, one picture loaded. Bam, gone. It was gone. So if you have an emergency and you need to send a message or send an email and it's strictly text, then that's what that 50 megabytes is for. There are lots of cruise groups that will kind of guide you on that. So I highly recommend that you pick up on that. I think I've actually got a picture of it. So if anybody's interested in that, I'm happy to post that as well, just as a guideline there. Stephanie said, that's really just surprises me considering how technologically advanced Disney is.
What?
Unfortunately, Stephanie, it doesn't surprise me at all. and the reason for that is because this ship is now 12 going on 13 years old. So it's a young ship, but it's getting older in terms of technology.
For the
And
cell phone part?
No, for the data part. So if you think in terms of it's been at sea coming and going for 12 or 13 years, like they've just not had a lot of time to update things. It doesn't?
It doesn't. What it is your carrier only pays fees within the U.S.
But I mean the Wi-Fi on board Disney, like if you were out at sea and
well, Disney's paying bukus of money to the
Right.
Virgin Islands, to the Bahamas,
right.
for that internet.
But that's what I'm saying is that's why they've throttled it and they've not made it.
Yeah, I mean,
better.
like whenever people were looking up, whenever I was looking to buy a new watch, they looked up YouTube and whatever, and they could look it up just like here at home, but they can't give everybody
everybody free roam.
Right.
because-
And then they do also offer internet packages for cast members as well. So remember we talked about that they're 50 or 5 or 6 months out at sea at a time. Some of these people, like our regular server, Peter, who is phenomenal, by the way, he's been there for 10 years. 10 years at sea, off and on.
And it's
So-
only off 3 months a year.
He said he's only off 3 months a year. So he's at sea 9 months out of the year. That's insanity. That's some dedication. That man loves his job and he is phenomenal at it.
That
Thank
means
you,
that
Peter,
out
if
of
you're watching
10
this.
years, he has only been 1 year off ship.
And that means out of 10 years, he's only been off the ship for a total of a year in 10 years on land. That's crazy. That is crazy. But yeah, they do offer them the option to be able to call home or video chat and things like that. So there's that too. I'm sure that takes kind of precedence, right? Barbara said, I always bring our walkie-talkies too. That's a good idea. I did not even think to consider that. That's amazing. Seasoned cruiser. You sure are. You sure are. Sandy, thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate that. I'm just now seeing that. So thank you so much. I really, 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 truly appreciate that. Yeah, 200 megabytes was nothing. Imagine 50. I literally just opened the Facebook page and we were sitting at port. Like I would think that I was still on like regular cell data. No, ran right through it.
I think that if you did the 50 or $30 or $50, if you're not looking at Facebook and strictly text,
Mm-hmm.
I think you will be okay.
Yeah. I think if you were just emergency sending an email for work or something like that, or responding to a text
we just
message
wanted
that
to
was,
kind of separate from.
yeah, we truly just kind of wanted to off grid ourselves there. But they do have complimentary packages for concierge and gold. So let me get into that. Now, when you take Disney Cruise Line cruises, the more often you cruise, the more perks you get. So once you're paid in full on a Disney Cruise Line cruise, you can book shore excursions or port adventures, as they like to call them, up to 90 days in advance. If it's your first cruise, it's 90 days in advance of your embarkation date, right? If you are a cruiser, a previous cruiser on Disney Cruise Line, you've cruised 1 to 4 times, then they opt you in for what's called the Silver Castaway Club. So what that means is your next cruise, your second Disney cruise, and each going forward, you get a complimentary gift each time that you come. So when you check into your stateroom, and then you are able to book things like shore excursions, port adventures, Remy, Palo, Bippity Boppity Boutique, things like that well in advance, like 91 days up to a certain amount. I forgot the cutoff there, in advance. Your next step up after you've cruised 5 times, 5 to 10 times, 5 to 9 times is gold. So it goes regular, silver, gold after 5 times. And then gold, you get an earlier check-in, you get another diverted check-in, just like with silver. Same with the extra gift in your stateroom. You get to book even earlier for certain things. And then the next thing you go up to is platinum, and that's 10 plus cruises. And platinum and concierge are kind of right there with each other in the perks, but platinum gets those no matter what. I'm sorry, I think I misspoke. Platinum and concierge get the data plans, not gold. Sorry. But they are entry-level data plans that are complimentary there for those, because they're either very seasoned, frequent cruisers with Disney Cruise Line, or they've paid kind of a lot of money to be there in concierge. So as you start cruising more often, then that builds up in your Castaway Club membership. And they denote that with a special number they'll assign to you after your first cruise. And they keep up with you. And that follows you for life. So our kids are already silver members. And as they take their kids or their families on Disney cruises, or just themselves as they get older, they've already got a cruise underneath their belt, and they'll build up on those tiers as they cruise any further. And I think it's similar, like Carnival has their VIFP, their very important fun person memberships. So that's just their club, and then Crown and Anchor with Royal Caribbean. So each cruise line has their own different notations on all those kinds of loyalty programs. Castaway Club just happens to be Disney Cruise Lines. Yes, thank you again, Sandy. I appreciate it so much. Okay, anybody else have any other questions? I think my biggest regrets were that everything that I really wanted to do, like trivia was the same time as bingo, was the same time as anyone can cook. And then I was trying to like map it out where I could do everything once at the exact same time. There's a lot that you all didn't see in the videos too. Like we went to music trivia, which I totally crushed, by the way. And they had movie trivia. They had Disney Cruise Line trivia. They had pop culture trivia. They had the silent dance party. So everything that I wanted to do was all at the same time. And I wish I'd had more time to do it. That's probably my biggest regret. I also wish that anyone that is upset or anyone that is saying that they don't want to visit Walt Disney World because they don't have dining plans back, get your honey in on one of these ships. And I'm not even playing. And I love Walt Disney World with all of my heart. You know I do, because of the rides. And I really thought I was not going to have a good time. It just wasn't Disney enough for me. It didn't take away any of the magic there.
If anything, more. It's more personal.
I felt like it was a more personalized experience. I felt like I was VIP. If I was taking a VIP tour in Walt Disney World right now, it would barely come to the same experience.
I mean,
that
it
we
made
got
it
on
feel
Disney
like
Cruise
we
Line.
had to remember Miss Alice from Bibbidi Bobbidi.
Oh, Miss
The
Alice,
service.
our fairy godmother from Bibbidi
The
Bobbidi Boutique.
housekeeper. I mean, you remember every individual.
We walked out the first night, and Denz, our stateroom host, said, "Mr. Juarez, how are you today?" And we like whipped around. We're like, "Wait a minute, you know our names? You know our names?" He was like, "Yes, of course I know your names." And it was just fun. It was just fun. They were very personable. They know your names as soon as you get on that ship. I don't know. Maybe they study them. I don't know. But they know your names. They interact with you. I just wish I could stress to you how amazing the cast members and the staff was. I don't feel like we'll ever get that kind of experience on Walt Disney World property. And for everyone that's saying, "I'm waiting for the dining to come back. I'm waiting for that unlimited food or the ability to eat when I want, how I want, and be full," you'll have it on these cruise ships. You will have it. I loved all the videos, and they changed my opinion of Disney cruises. Oh, Sandy, that's what I had hoped for. And that's what I wanted you to see out of our journey, because I was so hesitant to get on. If anybody's picky, it's me, especially about food. If anybody was hesitant to get on, it was me. You could see it in Nat's face as we were first getting in. I was like, this is, I don't know, guys. Like, I couldn't even, like, calm them down. But by the end, they were begging not to get off the ship. Begging not to get off the ship. And if Kendall has a good time, that kid never has a good time. Like, she never wants to spend time with her family.
Like, dreads
Never.
going to Walt Disney World.
Yeah, she hates going out to the parks.
Unless it's a resort, which is why we have BBC.
Yeah. Unless she's going to the resort, she's like, no, never mind. Just kidding. No, I'll go out with my friends instead. She wanted to be with us. She wanted to do bingo with us. She wanted to do the crafts with us. She wanted to participate with us. I had my daughter back. I had my little girl again. And for those 4 days, she was all ours. And I didn't have to share her with her friends. And she didn't have to feel like she was impressing people or who was going to make fun of her or anything like that. And that meant the world to us, to have our family back and be able to be a unit again. So the food, you guys, the food. And I don't know why, but I kind of had this notion of, I'm just going to be hungry all the time because they're only going to put food out certain times. There's no way you're going to go hungry on these ships. No way. Oh, I'm so sorry, Doris. I probably was shaking the camera myself. So I'm sorry it made you dizzy. Stephanie said, do they let adults get photos with characters? In my case, it's just,
Yes.
For sure.
Anybody.
For sure, Stephanie, for sure. Absolutely. I'm just kind of one of those that doesn't like to take a whole lot of time with the characters because I see the line behind me and then I get really nervous. So I probably should have taken a little bit more time. But they have characters coming in and out all the time, and they have repeat characters. And I don't know if you saw them in the videos, and maybe I didn't do a great job showing them, but even though you had repeat characters like Goofy and Mickey and Minnie and Daisy and Donald, they had different outfits each day. So you might think, oh, I've already had a picture with Mickey, or I've already had that picture with Minnie. No, they're in a different outfit each day. Oh, speaking of outfits, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, I did have a question about formal night. When is formal night? So if you're familiar with cruising, you would know or probably have heard of a formal night. And because this was one of the shorter sailings, there was no formal night. But if you wanted to dress up, it was kind of semi-formal. You could go as formal as you wanted to, even every night.
there was people that went full on out with dresses.
Oh yeah, like prom attire, like total cocktail prom attire. But if you wanted to say that one day specifically was designated for it, was day 2. So if you're looking to pick up a shorter Disney Cruise Line cruise, day 2 is what they consider their formal night. There is like a captain's dinner or a formal night if you're on one of those longer sailings. Like they'll specifically designate a day and tell you that. So we had people that we saw even for Pirates Night that had full luggage cases packed just for their pirate stuff, just for their formal wear. So yeah. Oh, good. I'm so glad that you guys like the cruise videos. We tried to take you along for as much as we could. Yeah, and Pirates Night, even if you haven't dressed up and you just kind of want to get in on the fun, they'll give you those complimentary bandanas. You can wear them like my Figment. He's wearing one too. You can wear them like Figment, which is kind of how I did. I just kind of rolled it up and made it a headband. You can wear them like the full cap in the back, like biker style. You can kind of drape them over your face. You can get creative. You can wear them as a, kind of like a wrist, just bracelet. And we had people out in hats and whole pirate garb, and it was awesome too. So they'll let you dress up as little or as much as you want to for any of those pirates or formal nights. Yeah, it was amazing. I would definitely recommend the photo package again if I had it to do over, especially since it was our first cruise. But all those photos are gone now. We can't purchase them. And if you opt to purchase them while you're on board and you didn't opt in for those earlier, then it does cost a little bit more, kind of significantly more, like $50, $60 more if you don't purchase it in advance. Right? No tears, Barbara. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you like get misty-eyed, but I had my family back for a few short days. We had our family back for a few short days, and just being able to reconnect on the level that we did and receive the service, the level of service that is unmatched by Disney quality. Everybody that's out here in the Walt Disney World parks that says the magic is gone, they're not pixie dusting me, it's not magical enough, they've not been on Disney Cruise Line, because that's definitely where the magic is. And unfortunately, I have to kind of have to wrap on the Walt Disney World cast members for a hot second, because you folks are the ones that get to go home at the end of the day and leave all that stress behind and go home to your comfort of your own bed and your own space and kind of chill out, and then the next day is renewed. These folks don't. They probably bunk with several people in one room, at least probably one, and that's their life day in and day out. And the level of excitement they brought every single day for us, and no comparison, unmatched. I have no words. I wish I had better words, but I don't. Yeah, family time is precious, and especially as your kids get older, as I'm sure some of you already know or getting ready to find out, it's not the same. It's not the same. So yeah, if you're looking for Disney magic and pixie dust, Disney Cruise Line is where it's at, you guys. And I came in as probably one of the hardest skeptics to Disney Cruise Line as far as cruising goes, not necessarily Disney in and of itself, but I'm totally converted now, and I'm really looking forward to our next one. Don't you roll your eyes. He's over here like, rolling his eyes.
I'll take you on the ferry.
On the ferry boat, I get to ride the
I'll
ferry
get
boat
you
over to Magic
McDonald's.
Kingdom.
Yeah, I'll get you McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and stuff.
You'll make me a whole buffet of McDonald's and Burger King, Chick-fil-A. Oh man. Okay. Well, any last questions before we kind of hang up our sea hats here? I feel like this kind of ran a little bit longer than what I originally anticipated. But there's just so much to talk about. And when we were uploading the videos, we would get everything in to just do a cut of, and we cut a little bit and then we narrow it down. And then by the time we narrow it down, it's 2 hours long.
Oh, there was some episodes that started as 3 hours.
Yeah, Jonathan was like, can we just do a part 1 and a part 2 of this? I was like, no, there's no way. There's no way anybody's going to watch a part 1 and a part 2.
Each video took about 4 hours to put together.
Just to put together, not including
even
uploading it and processing it. And then once you get it cut and uploaded and condensed, then you got to upload it to YouTube. So I apologize that some of them were a little behind, but it was very hard to show you a full day's worth in just a 30-minute or 20-minute or maybe even a 40-minute time span. We really wanted to show you as much as we possibly could, and I felt like there was a lot of things that were repetitive, like because we really like our bingo. We found that out. But there's also a lot of things that didn't get to make it into it, like the watchtower and the trivia and the pop culture and some of the other just
The swimming time.
swimming time. We didn't do swimming
we
or
didn't want to run it
aqueduct.
for
Yeah.
anybody either. We wanted
And we didn't finish out the midship detective on purpose. So if you're watching that video, you're going, hey, who did it? If you're invested like me, you're like, hey, who did it? We didn't want to ruin that for you. So the midship detective is something that kids can play while they're there. It's kind of an at your own pace. So you can do a couple of things and then leave it and then come back to it. It registers that number for you. So there's 3 different maps, 3 different things. The Muppets is the hardest one of all. Then they've got one about Mickey and Goofy and Donald hunting down missing paintings and the villains. So they're going to try and narrow down which villain took the paintings. And then there's one where you're hunting the 101 Dalmatians. It has all to do with the artwork. So not every artwork hanging on the wall is participating in this. There's just certain ones, and they're denoted with a little metal emblem on the carpet there. So you stand in front of that and you hold up your badge in front of the artwork, and then it recognizes the badge and then plays a little video clip for you, like you'll see in the videos there. Oh, good. I'm so glad you guys had so much fun. But if you have any other questions, you guys, please feel free to let me know. After this, because I had so much fun on Disney Cruise Line, it's made me think. I'm hoping that maybe you would consider a Disney Cruise Line visit as well. So if that's something that's on your radar, you just want some information on, or you just want to book that and go ahead and book that, I'm happy to help you in guiding you and partnering with you on that travel. So I'm going to link, I'm going to post in the Facebook group, and I'll link it here in the description too, just in case anybody is watching this in the future. I'm going to link a Google form in the description and a separate post on Facebook, so that way you can reach out to me about your questions on Disney Cruise Line and see if that's something that you'd like to take part in. Guys, we're back. We don't have any nautical travels in the near future coming up. So that means that we're clear to go back into the Disney parks and be live with you again. So we'd like to try and get back into the parks, maybe with another Fireworks Friday tomorrow. We'll kick off our Fireworks Friday tomorrow. So I'll have a schedule for us up and running before tomorrow morning as well, so that way we can kind of anticipate that and let you all know what our next locations will be out. So guys, this has been super fun. I've really enjoyed chatting with you all again. I've missed you so much, and I know that the recorded stuff is great, but it's not the same as being able to talk to you in real time. So thank you for being here and taking your time out. I know it means a lot to me, to us, for you to take out almost 2 hours out of your time here sitting with me and chatting. If you form any other questions later on, please don't hesitate a bit to send us a message or write to us there on Facebook. I'm happy to get you an answer. What else was it? Oh, last thing, and very last thing that I want to stress, maybe more importantly than anything, please, please, please give the videos a big old thumbs up for me from wherever you're watching from. I really, really, really would appreciate it. Sprinkle the streams if you can. That's our magical word for share. So sprinkle the stream if you can, and the other videos. Feel free to share our cruise vlogs with other folks that have questions on them. We are so close to some really, really major goals from us here. So the very best thing that I could ever ask you to do, give us a big old thumbs up, share us with your friends and family. We want to make sure our community is growing, and watch our videos.
And
Watch our videos. Please watch our videos. We couldn't thank you enough and stress that enough to you. Yeah, have a great night, Sandy. She said, see you all tomorrow night. Doris said, I thought it would be more Disney themed as it was Disney Dream. Yeah, so it's got some subtle Disney touches, but then there's also a lot of in-your-face Disney, like artist palette, the character meet and greets,
but you don't
the fireworks.
It's kind of like being at the parks. Some people like the essence of getting the characters in your face, like at Pop Century and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's like the moderate side.
Right. So Jonathan was explaining it. It's kind of like even like the Walt Disney World resorts. So you have your values where you have very, very clear, in your face, larger than life Disney, right? You can't, unmistakable Disney all the time. Then you get into the moderates category for those resorts, and it's like, it's Disney, and you can tell Disney is there. But then it's also a resort too. And then you get into the deluxe resorts where they've got more subtle Disney touches.
And I think that's what their goal was. If you want characters and you want Disney in your face, go to the parks. But if you want experiences, the goal of the cruises is to take you away from the parks and show you a taste of what Adventures by Disney could be.
So if you didn't hear Jonathan, because he's a little bit further away, I'm gonna pull him in for one of these chats one day. We'll see. But he said that's kind of the thing, was Disney Cruise Line kind of pulls the magic away from necessarily revolving around the parks and the rides, and gives you just a different take on everything. And I think they tried to cater to all kinds of Disney goers, the in-your-face Disney, the moderate Disney, and the I like Disney and I love the service Disney provides, but I don't want it in my face all the time. And I do feel like there are different levels for that based on the offerings. I think we did a lot of things that weren't necessarily in your face Disney. So I would agree with you there, because we were just trying to try out experiences that were different to us that we don't necessarily have.
I think it's like you have 3 roads and you can pick the adult one, the half and half, or if you just want all Disney in your face all day long, it's characters growing.
Yeah, it's like coffee, right?
Yeah,
when you add creamer to your coffee, you can have black coffee, like no creamer, no sugar.
Yeah,
or you can start mixing that creamer in a little bit, or you can just make it as white as snow, with just creamer at all, and just a drop of coffee. I feel like this Disney Cruise Line was just like that. You could have as much Disney or as much Disney at a distance that you wanted. And I don't think it helped that I wasn't able to record some of the shows too. I bawled like a baby at those shows because they were Broadway quality
there is nothing
style
at
shows.
Disney World that can match Beauty.
There is nothing at Disney World in those shows. Disney World, we need to up your game, that can match those shows on those ships. Sure,
one.
Stephanie, keep them coming. I'll be here all night if you want me to.
There's not one show that I've seen at Disney World.
No, even Jonathan was like, how did they get all this stuff back there? Like it so I don't want to give too much away, but obviously you can't have different rooms, right? And I believe Beauty and the Beast show is linked in the description for that day 2's video, and they skip a little bit right there, but they don't have all of the rooms that you can obviously walk from room to room in. So they would kind of denote rooms with like pillars, if you will, but the pillars would grow. Like they would go shorter and then they'd go bigger and longer. And then they would, I'm assuming, use RFID technology underneath, but they would like move on the stage. It was amazing.
You were thinking you were watching the live action of Beauty and the Beast.
You would seem to think that you were watching the live action Beauty and the Beast right there in the flesh in your face. It was phenomenal. Stephanie asked, are the staterooms like yours was? Wonderful question. I'm so sorry I didn't touch on that before. So there are different categories of room. Your very basic room is going to be an inside stateroom. It's going to be smaller, and you're going to have just that double bed and then the little vanity set up. So you've got the mirror and the little desk and then the TV, right? And then, of course, your bathroom. Now, Disney Cruise Line is the first of its kind to do the double bathroom, the split bathroom like that. So, yes, you will still keep one side shower tub combo if it's a shower tub combo, not just a shower. And then the other side is the toileting side. So separate doors for that, right? Inside stateroom, going to be your smallest stateroom. It's also going to be your cheapest category. So keep that in mind too, but they're only going to hold up to 2 in those cabins. Even though it's an inside stateroom, you're going to have a porthole right above the bed. But don't worry, because it's an inside stateroom, you don't have access to the outside, but it's a magic porthole. So they have a camera that's going to be from the bridge, from the outside, that's going to reflect in real time what that looks like while you're out at sea. So if it's daytime outside, you're going to see daytime on that porthole. If it's nighttime outside, you're going to see nighttime. It's really cool. And then they have Disney characters that kind of fly by, like Peach from Finding Nemo. She like suctions herself, the little starfish, suctions herself out there. Then you have like the Incredibles. Oh, what's his name? His name's escaping me. The little boy. I want to say Flash, and that's not right. Violet, I think, comes out too. And then you're going to see the Up House. So all that happens on that magic porthole on the inside staterooms. Your next category up is going to be an ocean view stateroom. So similar room. The only thing is your magic porthole is going to change into a regular porthole. So accurate view, you're looking out on the water in real time, not just a camera in a fake porthole, so to speak. The next room up is going to be similar to what we had. It's a deluxe ocean view stateroom with veranda. So yes, that's what we had this time. Dash. Thank you, Amy. I don't know why I was trying to say Flash, but Dash. Yeah. So Dash will like come up by the window, or you'll see Aladdin and Jasmine flying by on their carpet. So they do pump in Disney characters there. So deluxe ocean view stateroom with veranda is the next category up, which was the rooms that we had booked. Because of our party size, though, because there were 5 of us, those only hold up to 4. So we had to have 2 rooms. And in our case, because the kids outnumbered the adults, they were able to get us guaranteed connecting staterooms. So don't always assume that if you're traveling with a larger party, you're going to be guaranteed those connecting staterooms, because they may not have them all available there for you. The next level up is the family family deluxe ocean view stateroom with veranda, and those hold 5. And if you have a party size that you need larger than 5, then you need to have the concierge suite rooms.
Those have a dining room,
Yeah.
jacuzzi.
Yeah, they've
Your
got
own deck.
multiple rooms, your own area, and multiple sleeping locations there. So
Imagine like
yeah.
a 3-bedroom.
Yeah, like a 3-bedroom villa at one of the resorts. And in fact, some of those staterooms are square footage wise longer than some.
They're like
homes.
1,800 square feet.
Yeah, they're like 1,800 square feet. It's crazy, very crazy. But they have like a dining room set up and like a little kitchenette almost, like
You have your
like
own
a little
jacuzzi,
nook
too.
area. Your own jacuzzi. You have your own like deck area that you kind of outlook over, and then the concierge also has a separate lounge that they're able to partake in as well. The veranda definitely makes a difference. Yeah, it sure does. And some of those connecting staterooms, like the family ocean view staterooms, and some of them did. Ours did not, because it had the hard metal divider between our verandas. Some of those you can actually fold back, and then you have like a full veranda that you can walk out on, and it's a little bit longer, or it looks a little bit longer, like a shared one. I kind of wish ours was set up that way, but no worries. Like I couldn't have asked for a better placement in where we were. I was willing to give on that just to be on the ship. Stephanie said, I don't mind a smaller room, but I think I'd prefer at least ocean view. Yeah, and each of those categories isn't a whole lot of difference price-wise between them. Now, obviously, if you're making a big jump between inside stateroom and concierge, you're going to see a couple thousands of dollars difference. But even ocean view versus like deluxe ocean view with veranda staterooms, maybe a couple $100, maybe. It really made a lot more sense to us just to have that extra peace of mind of, okay, if I want to go outside and breathe fresh air, this is where I would much rather feel comfortable than having to get out of my room and go up a couple of decks. Also, each room category is going to have specific decks you're assigned. So the inside staterooms are going to be closer to the bottom of the ship. And then your pricing is also going to vary between whether you've got midship, forward, the front of the ship, or the aft, the back of the ship. So if you have a preference, then you're going to potentially see a little bit of a price difference, maybe $20, $50 or so, something like that, in between your placement of your stateroom there. Yeah, not bad at all. In terms of like, if I want that extra space, then am I willing to do this? Now, the specific deal that we had to take not only required us to split up our rooms, but we didn't have an option. It was just a veranda stateroom. We had to have that for my deal. So yeah, that's just kind of how that worked out. And different cruises, different times of the year, obviously, are going to have different pricing. Your biggest price hikes are going to be just like the parks. Anywhere from like Christmas, leading into Christmas through New Year's is probably going to be your most expensive for the entire year. Maybe minus the Wish, because I know that they still had a couple of things on those earlier sailings that are pretty expensive. So we're just kind of waiting for the hike to go down on the Wish for a little bit and see if I'm offered any different pricing on that one again. Because that's really I think, settled on the adventure that we want to try next with cruising, if it's not Royal Caribbean first. So
Yeah.
we'd like to do that one too.
Yeah, I want.
Jonathan's like, yeah, we're doing Royal Caribbean. Now that I can handle cruising, we'd like to try Royal Caribbean too. No, it was amazing. Like I was actually very sad to leave. All of my kids were very sad to leave. And then I think what was confusing for them is, even though you're at Walt Disney World and you're checking out, there are other people that are not checking, or that are checking in, but you don't really see that because you're coming and going so much to the parks. It's not really on your mind. But it was very apparent because concierge can get on the ship first, so can platinum and gold members. So they have earlier check-in times at port. So we had to be there at 12:45. And some of those folks were able to be on the ship as early as like 10 and 11 o'clock. So they were already on the aqueduct and having fun and having the pools to themselves, because the staterooms are usually not ready until about 3 or 4 o'clock. And so that was hard, because the kids were seeing other people coming to check in for their cruise, and we were leaving because they got those earlier times. Because while we did port at 7:30 for anyone that wanted the express checkout, we opted to stay for the sit-down breakfast. Now, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't touch on this, and I promise I will shut up after this last one and only take questions. But anytime that you're on the ship, you don't have to do your rotational dining. So if you would prefer to be on the buffet, you can do that. But also, if you wanted a sit-down restaurant for lunch or breakfast, some of those rotational dining locations, not all, sometimes they're designated differently, but some of them, like Enchanted Garden, I was actually very thankful we were able to do each of those rotations twice in theory, because we did Royal Palace once for dinner, but then we also did it for lunch on a different day. We didn't go to our regular assigned table, but we were able to do it a different day. And they had an entree menu versus going upstairs to cabanas and doing the buffet option. And then, of course, your last rotation on your rotational dining for the dinner the night before is the same place that you go for breakfast. So if you're not looking to go to cabanas, that's the last place you go for breakfast if you want an entree meal. So if that's really more your speed and you're looking for that last hurrah of your service, then that's the route that you can go. One thing I wish I did know was in the app, in where you can check and see what your dining rotation is, it will tell you your table number. I forgot to look. So just make a mental note of what your table number is. So whenever that mad dash starts happening and they open up the dining room, everybody that's trying to get in first will just start shouting out numbers, and you'll know that that's their dining table number. They're just trying to verify that, yeah, they know what number they're going to, and they're racing towards there so they can go ahead and get their order in. Any other questions? Give it a couple minutes here. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. This is fun. I love, having you all pick our brains on everything. And I wish I could bring you along and just detail moment by moment everything we did, because I feel like we packed so much in for such a little time. But we were beat after every day. Like we were just done. We were ready for our heads to hit those pillows. And those cruise line beds are the most comfiest mattresses, I think, and the pillows I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Hey, Anna Marie. I'm sorry I didn't see your wave earlier. Oh, good. I'm so glad. But yeah, guys, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to hit me up for questions. I'm always kind of an open book in that department. If you would like to talk about booking your next Disney Cruise Line adventure, whether it's your first or your 100th, I'm totally open to that conversation too. So I will have a separate post on the Facebook page for anyone that would like to learn a little bit more about that, see what that pricing would look like, and just have you partner on that with me. So I'd really appreciate that as well, if that's something that you're looking to do. And it's always complimentary to have some extra help through a travel agent too. So I'm only taking on a set number of clients now at this point, because my schedule is getting kind of crazy. So anybody that's reaching out for reservations from our group is going to get first priority on all of those. So thank you for your understanding and patience there. But even if you don't book with me and you book on your own, that's totally fine. I'm still always available for questions. I just might not share you all my tips and tricks. That's all. Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure, you guys, catching up with you. I hope that we can get out and enjoy our fireworks tomorrow night. And we'll have all that posted for you in the Facebook group too. So for now, we're going to sign off, get late dinner snack-ish over with, and settle in for the night. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Catch you on the next ride. Bye, everybody.